Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of BBP News. I'm Nicholas Rod. Chris Baker's here with me, and we are back for another Monday morning episode. Chris, start us off in the normal Monday morning fashion by giving us the weather headed into the week.
In Los Angeles, California, it is sunny 76. In Houston, Texas, it is mostly sunny 89. And in Chicago, Illinois, it is mostly sunny 87. And in New York City, it is mostly sunny 85.
Mm, I think that's the most even weather report we've ever given, to be honest. All in the for the most part anyway, in that mid 80s range, high 80s range.
So, Nick,
Mm-hmm.
today is like the official first day of summer.
Right.
So, I don't know about you, but when you think of summer, I think of grilling.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty fair statement, I'd say.
And so recently, there's a new poll out there of what the top 10 things are that people think they do good at grilling.
Okay.
Have you ever grilled before?
I don't have any experience thus far with grilling. I want to. I want to start grilling this year, hopefully. But
Do you have experience eating your parents' grilling food?
oh yeah. Yep,
What do
absolutely.
you think they cook the best on the grill?
Oh boy. That's a tough question. I've had some really, really good grilled vegetables actually over here. I know that's kind of an odd one. You normally think hamburger, steak, yada yada, but grilled vegetables is definitely up there.
Well, it's funny that you start with grilled vegetables because I was going to say, I was only going to tell you the top five because who cares about fruit and vegetables? But, you know, they say the number one thing that people think they are good at cooking on the grill
Mm-hmm.
is burgers.
Makes sense. It's a pretty classic
Sim-
one.
and it's pretty simple to cook.
Yep, exactly.
Then chicken,
Okay.
then hot dogs.
I'm actually surprised that chicken came before hot dogs.
I
Um,
want to, but hot dogs are not hard at all to grill. You really can't screw up hot dogs on the grill. You throw it on there for a
look,
quick
look,
minute
look.
and then you're done.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at how you can screw up hot dogs or really anything.
I think hot dogs are the easiest thing in the world to grill.
Look, I think you could be interchangeable with hot dogs and hamburgers. I think they both belong at number one and number two. I'm surprised that chicken actually snuck in there at number two. Um,
I
but
will
yeah.
say, the one thing with burgers that can be a little bit complicated is flipping them, especially if your grill's not hot enough.
Yeah,
The hamburger could stick to it and you just kind of screwed up your hamburger.
I suppose so, but
A hot dog, you just roll across it a few times and it's good.
even so, I believe that hamburgers, I feel like that's a pretty easy one to get a hang of so that you do flip it correctly. You might make that mistake the first couple of times, but I feel like as you do it a few times, you kind of just get around that possible screw up. But so I really think that hot dogs and hamburgers should be interchangeable. I don't know how chicken made it to number two.
Chicken's pretty easy to cook.
It's pretty easy, but when you match it up against a hot dog, I would think hot dogs beat chicken out.
And then steak.
Okay, yep. I,
Steak's fairly easy, especially
yeah.
if you see. I like to make it complicated because I want those perfect sear lines.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really needed.
Right, that's just kind of more of a want
Yeah,
type
and then
situation.
ribs.
Okay. Ooh,
Now
grilled
ribs,
ribs.
ribs. Sometimes ribs can be a little complicated, in my opinion.
I feel like I was wondering why, because steak, yeah, it can be relatively easy, but I feel like there is some complexity to it, especially depending on how exactly you want it cooked. Um, but when you said ribs at number five, because I was gonna say that maybe steak should be more in the five spot, but you say ribs, and yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But ribs, I think ribs are more all about timing.
Yeah,
Personally,
that
I
makes
like to
sense.
start them in the oven, slow cook them, and then transfer them to the grill for about the last hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then vegetables
Grilled
like
vegetables.
corn, pepper, zucchini, squash, onions, and potatoes.
Yes, you do. In my opinion, here you go. Perfect grilled vegetables here. You have broccoli, you have some squash, you have some zucchini, and you have some mushrooms. Some onions too. Let's not forget about the onions, but right there you have an amazing mix. Peppers too. I almost forgot.
Um, sometimes I cook them right on the grate of the grill, but then other times I'll throw it in like foil with lots of butter and garlic and onion powder.
Mm-hmm.
Delicious.
Yeah, if you put them like right in that perfect like grill basket, put some seasonings on them. Oh, so good.
And then kebabs.
Oh,
I'm,
okay.
I'm really, really surprised kebabs made the top 10 list because kebabs are really easy to screw up
You
because
know,
the vegetables are always done before the meat.
right.
And then but sometimes you can cook the meat before you put it on there, but then sometimes you charcoal your meat while waiting for the vegetables. I don't like cooking kebabs at all, and quite honestly, I don't even like eating them because I'm never full after eating them.
Kebabs are an interesting one to me for the simple fact that you just don't hear about people grilling a kebab really. Like that's not something you typically hear, is at least not something I typically hear when I think of people using the grill. I never hear of, at home in your backyard cooking a kebab.
I people cook kebabs over like a campfire, but in my
Mm,
opinion, those people are too fancy for me.
that's intense to me.
Um, when I think of the grill, I think of burgers, hot dogs,
Steak.
um, yeah, all of that barbecuey stuff,
Yeah,
not
not
kebabs,
kebabs.
and then fruit.
Okay, grilled fruit? No.
Pineapple is delicious.
you know, I might be able to get on board with you on that one, but general consensus on my end, I'm very wary about the idea of grilled fruit.
Well, so it says the most common one is now this actually sounds really delicious.
Okay.
Grilled pineapple. I never heard of grilling apples or pears.
No, that's a odd like a different one to me.
But it says after you grill it, serve it with ice cream and caramel sauce.
Oh, okay. All right.
That actually sounds pretty good.
You know what my first thought was when you said grilled apples was like put them on like pork or even a steak you could even get away with. Um that sounds like it might be good too.
And then the next one is fish,
Okay.
and the final one is tofu.
Oh, well, all right. I'm not
I've
gonna
ne
weigh in on that last one.
No, neither am I.
No.
Fish, I've never cooked fish on the grill before.
Sounds like it could be interesting. I'm not a huge fish person to begin with. I've just never been able to get into it. Um,
See, here I've been threatening for a very long time to cook a piece of salmon on the grill.
mm-hmm.
But my fear is with the price of salmon right now, with my luck, I wouldn't be fast enough and it would start to fall apart and fall down into the cracks of the grill.
Oh no.
So I haven't been quite daring enough yet.
Yeah, that's understandable to be
So
honest.
I've been just cooking my salmon in the air fryer and that's delicious.
There you
But
go.
anyways, we got some news to get into today, starting off with chances are you've probably been hearing a lot about monkeypox lately, and as of last week, the CDC started releasing vaccine from the strategic reserve to ensure monkeypox does not continue to spread. The CDC held a briefing last week, and the message overall was do not panic. They say there is only a handful of cases in the United States, one confirmed monkeypox in Massachusetts, and six other probable cases. The CDC is anticipating that cases will most likely be diagnosed soon, and the CDC and other medical experts say this is a virus that the medical community has a lot of experience with. They also say that they have a good handle on it and they have vaccines available, and this isn't the first time we have seen a monkeypox outbreak in the United States. So last time we saw a monkeypox outbreak was in the year 2003, and we have two approved vaccines in the United States to treat smallpox. And because the monkeypox virus is closely related to the virus smallpox, the smallpox vaccine can protect people from getting monkeypox.
Yeah, so like Chris said, there are two vaccines that can help in, protecting against monkeypox. And the two vaccines that we do have to protect against monkeypox are ACAM 2000 and Genios, which is specifically licensed to treat monkeypox. The CDC says we have about 1,000 doses of Genios, and the stockpile and that number can be ramped up if need be. The CDC says the U.S. has about 100 million doses of the other vaccine, ACAM 2000, although that vaccine does have some significant side effects. Monkeypox is basically a rash that turns into skin lesions that scab over and scar. The CDC says that some of the on-site symptoms appear like the flu with a fever, but a rash is a good indicator. The problem is that rash can be confused with chickenpox or herpes. The recovery time is between 2 and 4 weeks. The CDC says monkeypox generally spreads through very close physical contact with people, animals, or materials infected with the virus. That includes bed sheets and clothing. It enters the body through broken skin and the respiratory tract. Monkeypox is not a sexually transmitted disease, but it can be transmitted during sexual or intimate contact. The CDC stresses that anyone can get or spread monkeypox, but the most common group for spreading it is between gay or bi men.
There is a movement right now in Washington, D.C. on gun legislation. Starting off, the House has been on recess all last week, and on Thursday of last week, the Senate went on a week-long recess. Lawmakers from both chambers will not be back in D.C. until the week of June 6th, and on Wednesday night, the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer took steps to get two bills on the Senate legislative calendar. Both bills have already passed through the House. The first one is H.R. 8, the Bipartisan Background Check Act, and the other is H.R. 1446, which is an enhanced background check act, but you may know it as the Charleston loophole. H.R. 8 would expand background checks on people seeking purchase or transfer firearms. 8 House Republicans voted yes on that particular bill.
H.R. 1446 would close the Charleston loophole, like Chris said before, a gap in federal law that let gun sales proceed without a completed background check if 3 business days have passed. Just because the Senate Majority Leader took the steps to get these bills moving, that does not mean that either will get a vote or a debate. This is just part of the process that Congress must follow. Even if in the rare chance either one of these bills makes it to the Senate, they need the 60 votes to break the filibuster, which means all 50 Democrats and independents must vote yes, along with 10 Republicans. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell told reporters he encouraged a senator from Texas, Senator Cornyn, to find a way to get something done. So those talks are happening. There has also been bipartisan talk since 2019 of a red flag law nationwide, and the House is likely to take up a bill on that. Both sides are talking about these bills. Whether they are talking at each other or with each other is a different story. As for the president, there's virtually nothing he can do without Congress. He can issue executive orders, but he cannot really do much of anything at this time.
Getting into rapid news, the White House said it will begin launching a handful of new efforts to expand the so-called, quote, test to treat and hand out pills to treat COVID-19, starting with the country's first federally supported location in Rhode Island.
A Carnival cruise ship that set sail from Port Carnival in Florida caught fire on Thursday, and they say that the fire was quickly extinguished by emergency response teams and that all guests and crew are safe.
Nick, what do you got for this Monday morning good news?
All right, so my good news story for today is yet another celebrity story. We come across these now and again, and this time we just have a celebrity making probably a moment that this child will never forget in her entire life. So, 13-year-old Sadie from Florida has been dealing with a form of cancer that spreads throughout the bone marrow and through other soft tissues throughout the body. And she's been fighting this for quite some time, and she's undergone chemo and all this other, all these other treatments and such, surgeries and the like. Well, she ended up hooking up with a Florida program called the Children's Dream Fund, which is kind of like some of these other programs, the Wish program or others that look to fulfill a dream for these children going through tragic illnesses and these other horrible, periods or just struggles in their life. And Sadie's dream for the longest time was to meet Gordon Ramsay. She had watched his shows for years, had always loved cooking, and this was just her dream. Normally, when children get in contact with the program and with the Children's Dream Fund, they have several interests. So there's a plan B or even a plan C to fall back on in case their first choice of what they want can't be done. But for Sadie, it was meet Gordon Ramsay. So they did what they could, and for a while it was a struggle trying to set something up. They almost got to meet in Florida, but then something changed and it didn't end up happening. So it got moved to a different date. Eventually they set up a second date for Sadie to meet Ramsay in his restaurant, Hell's Kitchen in Las Vegas. But they wanted to surprise her with this. They didn't want to just, let her know right then and there, especially if it had to get canceled again. They didn't want her to be disappointed and have to go through that disappointment like they did the first time. So at first, they said that they were going to Las Vegas because her father used to be a race car driver, and they told her that he was going to be doing an honorary lap over there, and so they were going to fly over. And they got there, and it was the first night in their hotel that her parents told her what was going on. And she got to find out what was going to be planned for the next day, and the fact that she was going to be meeting Gordon Ramsay. And the meeting, when I was reading this, guys, I got to tell you, I was just in awe of how wonderful the whole day was and how much she just got to have her dream fulfilled. They met Ramsay at the restaurant. They had a meal together. They talked. She even got to speak over FaceTime to two of his daughters and just had an absolute blast. Ramsay gave her a chef's coat to take with her, and he told her that they need to meet again, once in Florida, back in her home state, and also he said that she needs to come to London to have a meal with his family. So this meeting between Ramsay and Sadie just was something to behold. Because Ramsay truly, if you went above and beyond, they TikToked together, they had conversations, they had a meal, and the whole thing was just so wonderful for Sadie, just absolutely mind-blowing for her. And she's drawn inspiration from this. She's drawn inspiration from this whole experience and wants to help other children going through the same struggle. One way in which she hopes to do that is to draw caricatures for the children in the hospitals, for them to color in and just to help make their experience a little easier, and doing little things like that just to help them out. She's been going through a lot, but she's taken these experiences that she's gotten the chance to have and wants to help pay it forward in any way possible. But just the fact that Gordon Ramsay went this above and beyond, and how well everything went, just truly wonderful. Truly wonderful. I can't express the proper words, to be honest. There are no proper words for this. Just such a beautiful story.
That is an awesome good news story, Nick.
Like I said, this is just one of those stories that doesn't really have any proper words. It doesn't have any proper explanation as to just how great it really is. And that's just from a reader's standpoint. That's just from our standpoint from the outside. Imagine being Sadie. Imagine being in her shoes and being able to live this experience after all the hardships that she has had to endure, after all the struggle. She's getting this opportunity of a lifetime, and the fact that it went as well as it did, to the point where she has been invited to uh, go to London at some point and have a meal with Ramsey's family. Just, this is something else. It truly is.
You said it perfectly, Nick. I couldn't agree more. That is the end of this Monday morning news episode. We will be back here Wednesday morning with an idiot in the news. Trust me, you will not want to miss this week's idiot. Until then, have a great Memorial Day and see you Wednesday morning.
Bye, guys.